Hello, good afternoon, Sunny Bonani. Welcome to this DVD presentation. It is brought to you with compliments of Kublal Foundation and Maths and Science Center, 27 Linz Road, Durban. My name is Roshan Kublal and my email is roshankublal17@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you and get some feedback on the usefulness of these DVDs. So the topic for today is the hyperbola. Right, the hyperbola, we generally write xy is equal to c. That's the general form. So let's take an example. Suppose we said sketch xy is equal to 4. Then you have to take this and make it into standard form. So y is equal to 4 divided by x. So that's called standard form. So now we got it in standard form and we want to draw the graph. This graph can only be drawn by using ordered pairs. But before you start using the ordered pairs, you have x in the denominator. Because x is in the denominator, you're going to say that x is not equal to 0. So this becomes the asymptote. Now let's explain what is an asymptote. Asymptote. So we cannot use the value x is equal to 0. Therefore, the asymptote will be x is equal to 0 will be the asymptote, because you cannot use that value 0. So asymptote is a value that you cannot use to draw this graph. And asymptote, as you can see, it's a straight line graph. It's a special graph which we learned when we were doing straight lines. So the asymptote itself is another graph on its own. Alright, so that's the x asymptote. You can see straight away from the denominator, x cannot be used, x cannot equal to 0. Therefore, the asymptote will be x is equal to 0. In other words, take the denominator, make it equal to 0 to find the asymptote, the x asymptote. Take the denominator, make it equal to 0 to find the x asymptote. So let's do it like this. You want the x asymptote, right? That's number 1. Now number 2, we need to know whether it's got a y asymptote. So what do? We take the original question, xy is equal to 4. To find the y asymptote, you make x the subject of the formula. So x is equal to 4 over y. Now clearly, y cannot equal to 0. So the y asymptote is y equal to 0. So you cannot use the value y equal to 0. So the y asymptote will be y is equal to 0. Alright, so we know we cannot use x equal to 0, and we know that y will never become 0 because it is an asymptote. Then we've got to find the ordered pairs. So we start finding the ordered pairs. X, Y. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we got 4 here. So let's suppose we start on the positive side. We use 1, 2, and 4. We cannot use 0. Because x must not equal to 0. That's an asymptote, and x must not be 0, so you cannot use 0. And then you can use -1, -2, and -4. Now, when you take this and put it into that, you're going to substitute in y is equal to x, y is equal to 4 over x. When you're going to put 1 here, you're going to have y is equal to 4 over 1. Y is equal to 4 over 1 gives you the final answer 4. So that's 4. Then you take 2. Y is equal to 4 over 2. And that will give you the answer 2. So you write down 2. Then you will take 4. Y is equal to 4 divided by 4. The answer is 1. So we got 3 ordered pairs so far. Now we're going to find the next 3. Y is equal to 4 divided by negative 1, and that will give you negative 4. Y is equal to 4 divided by negative 2, and that will give you negative 2. And then finally, y is equal to 4 divided by negative 4, and that will give you negative 1. So now we have the ordered pairs ready to draw the graph. Alright, so in a short while I'll draw the graph there. So let me just move on to the other side. Right. So there is your system of axes. You need 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need 1, 2, 3, 4. You need negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. And you need negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 here. Right, so let's start from one side. First thing, x is equal to 0 is an asymptote. So this is actually the y-axis, or it is the graph x is equal to 0. So this is an asymptote. This is the x asymptote, and we can show it by a broken line like that. Next, y is equal to 0 is an asymptote. So we can show it on the graph. Now this is the x-axis, or it is the graph of y equal to 0. Now if you don't know these, you must go back to your straight line and learn them up properly. So y is equal to 0 is on this line. So this is another asymptote, and I'm just showing it by means of broken lines. So these are two asymptotes. So what does it mean? It means that this graph will never touch these blue lines. Asymptote means, firstly, what value you cannot use. Secondly, asymptote is a graph itself. Thirdly, what it means is when you draw the graph will never touch these lines. It will never touch it. So let's see what happens. So you got 1 and 4 here. You got 2 and 2, 2 and 2 here. You got 4 and 1 here. Then you join them. So that's how the graph will look. Now this graph is going to go very close to this line, but you will never touch it. This graph will go down here very close to this line, but never touch it. Now let's do the next 3 ordered pairs. Negative 1, negative 4. Negative 1, negative 4 is here. Negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, negative 2 is here. Negative 4, negative 1. Negative 4, negative 1 is here. And then when we join these, we get that. And once again, this graph is going to go very close to that x-axis, but it will never touch it. It will never cut it. This will come very close to this line, but it will never cut it or never touch it. So that's the graph of y is equal to 4 over x. Okay, y is equal to 4 over x. There's your graph. So these two arms. Now it's a good observation you must make over here. You see the numerator? The numerator is positive. The numerator is positive. Watch where the two arms are. When the numerator is positive, the graph will be in the first and the third quadrant. I'll repeat. When the numerator is positive, the graph will be first and third quadrant. We have discovered that now after drawing this graph. So I can put it back in the notes there. And I can just make a little arrow like this and say first and third quadrant. So whenever the numerator is positive, the graph will be in the first and the third quadrant. Alright, so we've done one graph. We'll draw another graph just now. And we will make an observation on the next graph. Alright, so let us stop here and then get ready to draw the next graph.